All right, I have been attempting the plant paradox diet, and I was just looking on YouTube today, and I was looking to see different reviews of people who have tried it before, and I did find several. I didn't find any that were specific to the symptoms that I've been experiencing and the reason that I'm doing the plant paradox diet. So I thought it might be helpful for other people who are experiencing similar things to get someone else's perspective on that. I have been experiencing the symptoms of MS for a long time, really. Since I was 14 years old, I've had flare-ups off and on, but spring of last year, so about a year, almost a year and a half ago at this point, I started having a lot of issues that have not really let up. And so I've been going to the doctor consistently, and you just kind of get the runaround. One person says, oh, we think it's MS, and then they send you to the specialist, and the specialist says, we don't see enough signs of that. And so a year and a half in, I still haven't been properly diagnosed. So in other words, I'm still not being treated. And it's really frustrating because people have given me muscle relaxants and anti-nausea pills and things like that. And in a lot of ways, it just feels like you're putting a Band-Aid on an issue, but you're not going to make it any better. And I've had to quit my job, multiple jobs. I quit, took 3 months off, tried again, had to quit that job, kept getting sick, took another chunk of time off, started another job, kept that one for about 5, maybe 6 months. No, it was about 5 months, and then ended up at the point where I was going to lose that job because of how much time I'd missed for being sick, and so I ended up quitting that one. And thankfully, I have a husband who's really supportive, and so he's letting me take the time off that I need right now to recover. But it's so frustrating when you're going through that and you feel like you're still on the downhill. Like there's nothing that you can do to start climbing back up to reclaim your life. So I had a friend recommend the Plant Paradox book, actually my mother-in-law, and she's a doctor, so I figured if she thought that was a good book and a good way to go, then I would take a look myself. Now, I'm someone who prides myself on healthy eating. I cook almost every meal from scratch. Now, while I was dating, before married, we did eat out a lot, and when I was really sick, if you feel like you can't stand, then you can't really stand in the kitchen to cook. And so I admit there were times where I went on kind of fast food binges because I didn't see how else to feed myself, and that always did make the symptoms worse. But normally, my normal is food prep. I would cook for a week, and I would have all my meals for work already set up. And since I've been off work here for the last couple of months, that's what I've been doing consistently, but it hasn't healed me. I've still been experiencing the symptoms, even though they're better when I'm not stressed with work, when I'm getting more sleep, and when I'm able to cook. They're better, but they're still there. Just a few weeks ago when I was in Walmart, I started feeling so weak that I knew I wouldn't be able to stand to finish my shopping, so I had to use one of those little carts. I'm 27 years old. Like, I'm not overweight. There's nothing visibly wrong with me, but I had to use one of those little motorized carts to get around Walmart. I've had to do it in Target as well, just so I could finish my shopping, because I was starting to feel weak and shaking, and I thought that my legs might give out, and they have done that in the past. So this Plant Paradox diet, I've read the whole book and was really happy to see there were several recipes in there, and so I decided that I would give it a shot. Now, I'm going to do a blog just kind of keeping track of my progress, because I think that might be helpful for anyone else who's experiencing MS to see if this is worth their time. And right now, I don't know. Right now, this is day 5. I have been on this diet for a few days. And it's too early to tell really if it's made a difference. I can tell you one thing: I've lost 6 pounds in 4 days, because this is the morning of the 5th day, so woke up and found that pleasant surprise. And I don't lose weight quickly, so that's definitely a nice benefit. But besides that, let me just give you an idea of the symptoms I've had so far, and we can see together if this diet is worth it, if it makes a difference. What I normally experience that I would say would be related to what I group as MS symptoms, pre-diagnosis MS symptoms. I get dizzy sometimes, but more often I get what I used to call a different kind of dizziness, and it's more that it feels like I'm spinning And even if I'm sitting down or laying down, it helps, but sometimes I'm laying down and it still feels like I'm moving. And I guess you might call that vertigo, balance issues, but it makes me really nauseous. And so sometimes I would wake up with nausea and it wouldn't leave until the time that I went back, laid down to sleep. And my doctor wrote me a prescription for, I can't remember what it's called, promethazine maybe. If that's a nausea one, it's one of the pills that I've been taking. And honestly, it didn't seem to make a dent in it whatsoever. Ginger tea helped, but there was nothing that was just preventing it from happening. Another thing is, of course, the weakness that I already mentioned earlier. I used to work out regularly, and I've had to quit that a couple months ago because it kept making me feel really dizzy and incredibly nauseous. And it's like all the things that I was feeling would flare up and become magnified when I worked out. So I had to quit working out, which is frustrating because it's the one thing that you feel like you're doing to stay healthy, and then that's taken away from you. So it starts to feel like everything is out of your control. I get pains, I guess maybe you'd call it nerve pain. A lot of times when I'm trying to sleep, it'll be like needle pokes in my legs, or worse, sometimes like a knife stabbing a certain part of my leg. And also restless leg. I've started getting really bad restless leg at night, so much so. And I used to get restless leg and it would go away when I tried to go to sleep. But this is stuff that will wake me up for hours. Like I'll just keep tossing and turning and waking up because my legs are still just going crazy. And also spasms. I would jump. I'd wake up jumping, and it'd wake my husband up because my legs or my arms were just spasming in the middle of the night. And then another thing has been brain fog. I get this sensation that I just have pressure, like someone is squeezing my brain. And if it gets really bad, it's not pain, which is hard to explain to people. It's just like someone is taking my brain and squeezing it. And the worse that feeling gets, the more muddled my thoughts get. So when I was working full-time, I would have moments where I just forgot what I was doing. And some of the most scary ones was when I was driving to work and I forgot why I was in the car. I couldn't remember what day of the week it was. I had to literally look down and see that I was wearing my work clothes to remember that I was going to work. And that wasn't just a one-time thing. It's just like I would suddenly have confusion, or I would let my dogs outside and I would forget about it, and I would walk by the door and see them outside with no memory of letting them out. So just little things like that, where it was just like pieces of my memory were vanishing, my thoughts were being muddled. I still mix up words a lot, or just can't think of the word that I'm trying to. Just things like that, general brain fog. I think that, and then waking up with spasticity, where my muscles are really, really tight and it's hard to walk when I first get up. That's some days, not every day, but some days that can be really bad. And then just general fatigue, just complete exhaustion. So, and sorry this video is getting longer than I planned, but there's so much to say. What is my view so far after 4 days of the Plant Paradox diet? Well, going from cooking food to still cooking meals, I guess is not too big of a shock. I'm still making things from scratch. The thing that I find most difficult is making sure my food is non-GMO. That's something that he recommends. I've come to the point of realizing it's going to be impossible to make sure all my food is non-GMO, except for the stuff I grow myself. And I'm actually sitting in front of my garden. Just please ignore the super overgrown grass around it. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I grow, but I haven't gotten to the point of growing enough to get all non-GMO. So you're going to have to give. You're going to have to make allowances at some point as far as following this to the T. But I have cut out all the main things that he says to cut out, and have been sticking to his good food list. I haven't made too many of his recipes. I did make one of the coconut flour muffin recipes with cranberries in it, and it is delicious. Now, I am not using the sugar substitutes he says. I'm still using agave and honey because I didn't really feel like he had a great reason for why those weren't acceptable. He just kind of said that he liked his better. And I really like agave and honey, and I know how to bake with it and things, so I've stuck with that. The first 3 days of the diet, I still had all the regular symptoms. In fact, the third day I had a really bad flare-up with muscle pain and cramping, and it was like I was getting these like micro Charlie horses just rolling through my legs nonstop for the whole last half of the day. It was pretty painful and not super great. I've had it before, so I don't think that it was a cause of the diet. But I will say this, whenever you're eating a lot of healthy food and focusing on vegetables, make sure you still are getting enough sodium. I've done vegetarian diets before and that's been an issue, so that's not something Dr. Gundry talks about, but it's just something I would caution. Make sure you keep your sodium level up and make sure you keep your electrolytes high, because that's stuff that we're used to getting in fast food and junk food and all of that. And if you go all of a sudden to all vegetarian or mostly vegetarian, and raw or steamed, things like that, it's just not going to have as much sodium as you're used to. Now, if you're conscious of that, then that's going to help you out. Now, on day 4, I woke up and I will admit I was feeling a lot better and I had a lot more energy. And today, the same thing. Like, I am raring to go. And I'm really excited because tonight, Saturday, if you live in the Tulsa area, I'm just going to take a little shout out here to TOSS, which is the Oklahoma Swing Syndicate. Look that up online. They have a Facebook group. I go very often on Saturday evenings. It's swing dancing. It's really cheap, like $5-7 to get in, depending on if you're a student or not. And they give you free lessons at the beginning of it. So again, just look it up if you're interested. Little side note, but that's tonight, and I haven't gone in a few weeks because I go and I do one dance, and it makes me feel too sick, and I have to sit down and watch everyone else dance for the rest of the night, and it's depressing. So I'm gonna go tonight. I've got some friends in town who want to go, and I'm just excited to try it and see if I do better tonight. Because right now I'm feeling awesome. I don't know if this is a sign that the diet's working yet. It's hard to say. Of course, it's still pretty early, and I've always had good days and bad days. So it could just be a good day, but I am gonna take full advantage of it while it's here. Now, I will say it's hard to switch to this diet if you're used to eating bread and pasta and things like that, because I have been craving those nonstop since I started, and I feel hungry all the time, and I shouldn't, because I am getting the carbs and I am getting the protein that I need, and I know that. And Dr. Gundry does a good job of giving you a sample meal plan and giving you some recipes to follow and kind of breaking that down for you. So if you're careful and you're following his advice, you're gonna get the nutrients that you need, but your body's still gonna tell you that it's craving sugar and it's craving flour and it's craving all these things that it doesn't want, or that you don't need, that you shouldn't have in your system, because they're all really lectin rich. If you read his book, you're going to understand a little bit more about that with gut health in your holobiome and things like that. So I've been going to bed hungry every night, but I've just been saying, you know, I don't care. I'm going to stick with it, and I want to at least commit to it for 2 weeks. And if I see results by the end of 2 weeks, shoot, if I can swing dance tonight, that's going to be awesome. And if I can start working out again, then it does not matter at that point. I don't care how dramatic of a switch this is for me. I'm going to stick with it for as long as I need to reclaim my health. If that means that my diet is going to have to be altered forever, then so be it. It's going to be worth it. If I can live life more fully and experience things without all of these horrible side effects that are just sidelining me all the time. So hopefully this helps if anyone else is considering starting. Follow this. I'll try to give you updates maybe once a week or so, and we'll just see what happens. Bye.